Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Megan, and I share DIY home projects, decorating tips, and creative inspiration to help you create a home you love without the overwhelm. If that sounds like your thing, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today we're tackling a DIY picture frame molding wall, also known as a box molding or wall trim. This is such an easy way to add character and elevate any space, whether it's a bedroom, living room, or hallway. The best part, you only need a nail gun and a few simple tools to get a high-end, custom look on a budget. So let's jump right in. The most important and honestly most challenging part of this project is planning your layout. First, measure from the top of your baseboard to the ceiling and wall to wall. Then decide on your box placement. For this space, I wanted a large box behind the bed with two smaller ones on each side. I went with a 6-inch gap between all boxes, but you can do 4 inches if you prefer. Typically, the bottom box sits 28 to 34 inches from the floor. On my other walls, I adjusted the boxes to fit around the window, door, and closet while keeping a consistent 6-inch gap throughout the room. The easiest way to figure this out is sketch it out on paper first, add your gaps, and work backwards to determine your box sizes. For cutting your trim, miter shears are a game changer. They make 45-degree cuts quick and easy without needing a power saw. To make things easier, I cut a 6-inch scrap wood spacer to help with box placement. It's a great guide, but keep in mind, if you have an older home like mine, your walls and ceiling might not be perfectly straight. You'll need to adjust as you go. It'll take a few cuts to get the hang of it, but the key is making sure you're cutting the right angle for each piece. The way I remembered it is the smaller detailed side is the inside of my box, so that always needs to be the shorter end of my cut. Keep that in mind, will help everything fit together perfectly. Now for the fun part, attaching the molding. Start with your first box, make sure it's level and spaced correctly, then secure it with your nail gun. A laser level would be amazing for this, but if you don't have one, a regular level works fine too. That's all we had and what we use. Continue adding each piece, checking for alignment as you go. If you run into any gaps due to uneven walls, don't stress, caulking will fix that. Also, if your 45-degree cuts aren't lining up perfectly, also do not stress, caulking will fill that and paint will cover it and you won't even tell. Again, we use the spacer to kind of set the bar of where we were going to place the pieces, but then we would use our level and make sure that it truly was level because again, our walls were not even, they were bowed. The distance between the walls at the ceiling level versus the floor were different, so just be mindful of that if you're working in an older home. Don't let it stress you out. It will work out and look beautiful when it's all done. Okay, if you're enjoying this video so far and you're finding it helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I share plenty of DIY projects and home inspiration to help you tackle your next project with confidence. Okay, let's get back to it. Once all the trim is up, it's time to fill the nail holes with wood filler and let it dry. Then you're going to sand everything smooth and run a bead of caulk along the edges for that seamless built-in look. A tip I recommend with the wood filler, I rub the wood filler into the nail hole and then I go over it with a damp cloth and it gets rid of a lot of the excess, so it actually minimizes your sanding. I barely had to sand any of the excess off by doing this. And then do a very light bead of caulking along all the seams and edges and then damp your finger and run it along and you'll have a really seamless finish. Now I mentioned before, if your 45-degree cuts weren't lining up perfectly, not to stress because we're going to fill it with some caulking, and this is true. So this is what I did. I just sort of jammed it in there and then I went over it with a damp piece of paper towel, which took away all of the excess and it completely filled it in. And then once you go over with primer and paint, it will look like you had a perfect 45-degree cut on the ones that you didn't quite make it. And I know, do I really need to prime? Yes, I know it feels like an extra step, but you do want to prime. These pieces of molding had pine knots in them, and we do not need that bleeding through 6 months to a year down the road. So definitely prime your trim and then go over it with the same wall paint color that you painted your room. And you're going to have a beautiful, beautiful finish. And that's it, a high-end custom look on a budget. This project is totally beginner friendly, and the only power tool you need is a nail gun. This is my first time tackling picture frame molding, and trust me, it is so doable. If you take the time, you'll end up with a stunning transformation and feel so proud of what you created. If you found this tutorial helpful, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe for more DIY projects. And if you try this at home, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear how it turns out.